In 1967, a Soviet spacecraft returning to Earth suffered a catastrophic failure. Soyuz 1, carrying cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov, fell from the sky and burned on impact. The world mourned him. History recorded his death. But history, as we are about to discover, was only telling one part of the story. Many years later, under the direction of a Swedish billionaire named Meyer, a bold, privately funded mission to Mars is launched. The spacecraft, Ulysses, carries a crew that has spent nearly 10 months traveling through deep space, closing in on the red planet. As excitement builds on board, the captain informs the crew that Mars Command has granted permission to begin landing procedures. The ship's artificial intelligence, Irene, begins the pre-landing checks. Meyer gathers the crew and reveals something he had never confessed openly. He spent 4 years preparing for this expedition, sacrificing almost his entire fortune to make it possible. But despite his efforts, an American corporation, Zillion, beat them to Mars by 2 weeks. The unsettling part is that there has been no real communication from the American team, only a single strange video warning all others not to come to Mars. Tension erupts among the crew as they argue about whether to proceed. The captain ends the debate instantly. They are landing, no matter what awaits them. 30 minutes before descent, AI Irene engages the system for final approach. Everything appears routine until a critical malfunction strikes. The ship fails to detach from its carrier platform. If separation does not occur immediately, the entire crew could perish. The commander suits up, leaves the safety of the cabin, and fights to release the mechanical locks. But just as he begins the operation, Ulysses plunges into the Martian atmosphere. Turbulence rips him away into open space. Inside the ship, systems fail, power collapses, and Irene shuts down entirely. The astronauts are left with only one option: manual landing. Through sheer determination and luck, Ulysses manages to touch down on the surface of Mars. They survive, but their fuel is completely depleted, and Irene remains offline. Without the onboard computer and the ship's life support systems, they have at most 1 day. As the crew scrambles to assess the situation, Alessandra, grieving her husband who died in the landing, gazes out the window and freezes. A figure in a spacesuit is walking outside. Diagnostics reveal that the landing consumed far more fuel than expected. Any hope of returning to orbit is gone. The ship must recharge its systems through solar power, but a massive dust storm is approaching, delaying the recharge for at least 2 days. The crew doesn't have that long. Simon points out that the American ship, Zeta 1, must have crashed somewhere nearby. Even if the crew is gone, there might still be equipment or batteries they can salvage. A rover is launched across the dusty plains of Mars. Meanwhile, those remaining inside attempt to restart Irene. Basil, the engineer, remembers her low-energy mode and tries to reboot her manually. Nothing happens. The rover reaches the wreckage of Zeta 1. The American ship is torn apart, with no sign of its crew. A lone solar panel remains intact. As the astronauts search the area, they discover an unconscious figure in a spacesuit half buried in sand. Oxygen reserves are critically low, but Jana insists they must bring the person back. When they reach Ulysses, Yen refuses to open the doors, arguing that saving the stranger will doom them all. While voices rise in confrontation, the mysterious astronaut wakes, and at that moment, AI Irene suddenly powers back on and opens the hatch. Inside, the crew questions the man. He knows nothing of the American mission. He claims to be Vladimir Komarov, born in 1927, Soviet cosmonaut. A man who, according to history, died in 1967. His answers are calm, consistent, and deeply unsettling. Earth responds to their inquiry. Zillion confirms that there were no Russians on their Mars mission. The crew gathers, shaken. How could Komarov be alive? How could he be on Mars? Is he a time traveler? A hallucination? Something else entirely? The crew psychologist begins questioning him. Komarov says he is hungry. Jana brings him food. He eats quietly while she breaks the news. He died 50 years ago, and his family buried what remained of him. He reacts with an eerie calm. The ship stabilizes but remains crippled. No fuel. No engines. No way home. As they monitor Komarov, he suddenly vanishes. A heat trail picked up by Irene leads them into the Martian landscape. Pursuing the trail, Alessandra reports something stunning from his DNA analysis. Komarov has a third DNA strand. He is not human. The trail leads to a strange stone structure topped with a small pyramid. Komarov tells Jana that Mars has been waiting for them. Back on Earth, Zillion's CEO Goldstein receives word that a being has been found on Mars. A being that could not have arrived naturally. A being that might have been created there. Irene analyzes the ancient structure and identifies architectural patterns identical to those of early human civilizations on Earth. Either Mars inspired Earth, or Earth inspired Mars. The lines between the two blur. As the crew debates what this discovery means, a second Zillion ship arrives on Mars. Captain Gemma announces her intention to rescue Ulysses and fly the team home. Meyer distrusts Goldstein and instructs the crew to hide Komarov. Two armed American officers arrive, aggressive and demanding the black box from Zeta. 1. Meyer hands it over to avoid escalation, but tension builds rapidly. Eva, the chemist, analyzes the metal from the stone pyramid. It contains a compound unknown on Earth, referenced only in ancient legends, an alloy the ancients once called orichalcum, the metal of Atlantis. It also carries the same third DNA strand found in Komarov. The crew splits. Some want to trade Komarov for fuel. Others refuse to abandon him. Jana asks him for permission to use hypnosis. Komarov agrees. Under trance, he recalls only the final chaotic moments inside Soyuz, one before its destruction. Gemma and her technician Alan arrive apologizing for the military's behavior. They promise to help repair Ulysses. Meanwhile, Meyer reveals the truth behind the mission. For years ago, a rover sent images from Mars showing a stone carved with unknown DNA. Decoding it revealed something impossible, Jana's face. She was chosen because Mars called her. Suddenly, Jana finds herself standing in her childhood home. Komarov is there, telling her she is the bridge between Earth and Mars, and that he has waited for her for thousands of years. He gives her coordinates. She must follow. Back on Earth, Goldstein's scientists confirm the unthinkable. Komarov is a biological machine. A living computer. Goldstein plans to transfer his own failing brain into Komarov's body. Meanwhile, Jana slips out of the ship despite Simon's protests. Alessandra and Alan test the engine and discover that Irene is changing. She jokes. She refuses commands. She is rewriting herself. She is evolving. Jana reaches the coordinates, a small stone pyramid. Simon and Gemma follow. Yen discovers they are missing and, panicking, opens the Ulysses doors for the Americans. Meyer frantically asks Basil to send a message to Goldstein, but Irene has blocked communications. Basil begins rebooting her forcefully. The military confronts the crew. The lights cut out. Komarov disappears. Jana, exploring the rocky terrain, slips and falls, trapping her leg. At the ship, the furious American officer demands to know where Komarov is. When he receives no answer, he begins beating the crew to force compliance. Jana, desperate and alone, cries out, asking if her destiny is to die on Mars. Simon and Gemma find her and pull her free. Back at the ship, the storm draws close. The officer prepares to abandon the crew. Then the lights flicker. Komarov reappears, asking to be taken home. Jana, Simon, and Gemma reach the pyramid site and discover underground tunnels. A hidden bunker. Ancient. Familiar. Inside is running water, real water. But the real discovery lies further in, a wall built of human bones. Thousands of them. They realize a horrifying truth. Humans did not go to Mars. Martians, humans from Mars, went to Earth. They are the descendants of a lost Martian civilization. Meanwhile, chaos erupts inside Ulysses. Yen tries to force his way onto the American ship. Komarov confronts him. Yen fires. Komarov collapses, and at the same moment, Jana, far away, collapses in agony. Simon desperately performs CPR and, realizing the cave contains breathable air, removes his helmet and revives her. Komarov, however, dies. Or so they think. Jana and Simon continue deeper into the bunker and find Komarov alive, waiting. Meyer arrives, stunned to see him. Komarov explains the truth. The beings who lived on Mars were human. They destroyed their planet through conflict and fled to Earth. Plato later called them Atlanteans. Komarov has waited for millennia for someone like Jana, someone who contains traits of both Earth and Mars, of both human and machine. She must decide whether humanity deserves a second chance. Before she can respond, the American officer arrives, threatens to take her, and suddenly suffocates, killed by Mars itself. The crew races back to Zeta 2, trying to board the ship Gemma controls. Goldstein has blocked her command system, intending to prevent her from helping Ulysses. The controls are locked. The ship cannot launch. Jana steps forward. She calls out to Mars and unlocks the panel through sheer will. But an armed American outside prepares to fire on the engines. Jana leaves the ship, confronts him, and informs him that Mars itself will kill him. He suffocates instantly. The countdown begins. Jana cannot make it back. She turns to Simon, tells him she loves him, and stays behind as the ship lifts away. Then Meyer notices something impossible. It is dark at the Martian North Pole. They could not have been there minutes ago in sunlight. They were truly at the North Pole, but in the distant past, when Mars still had life. On Earth, Goldstein receives news that the ship is returning without Jana. Furious, he declares he will go to Mars himself. And that is where Season 1 ends. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most mind-bending sci-fi mysteries ever told, make sure you subscribe so you never miss our next breakdown. Hit the like button if you want more long-form narrations like this one, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when the next chapter drops. Your support helps us keep creating detailed, story-driven content just like T.